committee that need to go to other committees such as public safety, health, and finance, and plans. So we are now going to go to the contracts in the rules committee. All right, so we're now on contracts. All right, hold on. Oh, I guess the contracts. Okay. All right, the first contract is A 2816, a resolution authorizing the Director of Nassau County Office of Purchasing to award and execute a contract between the County of Nassau acting on behalf of the Nassau County Department of Public Works and Inter-County Paving Associates LLC. Motion, please. Moved by Legislator Dunn, second by Legislator Nicolau. Hold on a minute. I would like Mr. Arnold to speak on the item, please.
No, I'm not going to speak on the item. I wasn't going to speak on the item. I'm going to speak on the practice. No disrespect to Mr. Arnold or to any official in DPW. However, though I believe the county executive has deserved his rightful day in court, and anyone is innocent to proven guilty. However, this county has black cloud due to its procurement process, the same black cloud that my caucus and my colleagues have been fighting for an independent inspector general now for the last 18 months. To me, it's unbelievable that we are going to entertain a rules contract now knowing our worst fears have come true in the arrest of the county executive. That being said, I'm going to call on my legislative colleagues again to not go forward with approving contracts under this cloud. I think it's important that we demonstrate transparency to the people of this county by giving them an independent inspector general. The very same thing that we've been calling for the last 18 months. We didn't want our fears to be right. We didn't know whether we were going to be right or wrong. However, we take this arrest and this indictment very seriously. As I said before, the county executive is due his day in court, and everyone is innocent until proven guilty. But at the same time, we have to restore confidence to the people of Nassau County. And the way we do that is by ensuring there is an independent authority reviewing the procurement process here in this county. And to have a Rules Committee agenda with dozens and dozens of Rules Committee contracts, just to me slaps people in the face of what we just endured and seen this county go through in the last 2 weeks. Madam Presiding Officer, I respectfully recall you to table these contracts and to not consider them until there is an independent inspector general to review the procurement process in this county. Thank you.
Okay, let's go back to item 2816, which was already read into the record. And Mr. Arnold, I believe you're here to speak on this item.
Good afternoon, Ken Arnold, Public Works. 828 is a blanket order for the rehabilitation of recharge basins. It's a contract that the department uses to take overgrown vegetation, trees, and stumps out of the basin bottoms.
Okay. Any questions? Legislator Nicolau.
Actually, it's not a question for you, Mr. Arnold, but you know, the minority leader has spoken loudly and clearly and has articulated his position well. He's demanding that we not proceed with any of these contracts. About half an hour ago, he was demanding that we proceed with one contract from his district. So I'm not really sure what to take of it right now.
Okay. I'm not going to have a debate.
Well, we have to have a debate because I think
you raised the issue and he responded.
The deputy presiding officer, why don't you just call the contract? You haven't even got to the point to call the contract. You were able to bring up all these contracts for water basins, contracts for electrical contracts for all this other stuff. Just call the contract.
But you're demanding that all the other contracts not be called except your contract. I don't get it.
Call the contract. Just call the contract.
You want us to call that contract?
We understand, Rich, why you're not calling the contract. We get it. Because the presiding officer hasn't given a response to these people in 7 months. We understand it was petty and vindictive to why you did it. We get it. We understand. It was a quid pro quo. We didn't go along with the fact that bonding for the legislature in exchange for the inspector general. We get it. We understand your position. We understand. You don't want to see an independent inspector general. Folks, Their action speaks loud and clear. We were fighting for an independent inspector general, and we did not want to bond until we got it. They did not want to see an independent inspector general in this county. I wonder why. But the bottom line is, our worst fears have now come true. So you could say that we're not working with you in good faith. Look, fat folks, we all saw what happened in the last 2 weeks. Take your head out of the sand. I mean, for Christ's sakes, please, join us. We need you to join us.
Okay, let's go.
My only point was that the position is inconsistent.
Okay, that's it.
Rich, it's really not.
It is, come on.
Will you join us on Inspector General today?
No.
Still no. Still no. You don't think it's... Do you... Yeah, I know you can't give me a reason why your microphone is off. But I'll tell you this, we need to have the independent inspector general. And you can't give me one reason in light of everything that's happened in the last 2 weeks. You cannot give me one good reason on why we should not proceed with it. Our position not to bond has been validated because of your inaction. All you had to do was support our measure for independent inspector general. Look, as I said before, the county executive is innocent to proven guilty, and he deserves his day to make his case. This is not about accusations on his innocence or his guilt, but we have to restore faith. I'm sure you are hearing from Nassau County residents throughout this county that their faith in county government has been rocked. Amen. The only way you can restore it is by adding an independent authority. I mean, you guys have to be hearing this. I'm hearing it in my district no matter where I go. You have to be hearing it. But if you're going to ignore me and just move on with the calendar, our votes will be continued to abstain on all contracts until we see a proper inspector general for this county.
Thank you very much. 828. I don't believe I have a slip on 828. There being no public comment, all those in favor of 828? I don't know if it's on there.
It's on there.
Excuse me. Okay.
If it's not, public comment is public
You're
comment.
on
And if
528.
someone from the public wants to address this issue, they do have a right to go forward to get a form to write 828 and submit it and have your public comment. You can do that at any time while you're in this room.
Okay?
Yes.
I have it in front of me, and I see 528. I also see at least 10 others. So I'm
Exactly,
calling
and
you
as
up
long as I have the
10
right to do that
That's
as a
right.
taxpayer,
Absolutely.
as a
Nobody's
taxpayer,
denying
and
you
a
that
third
right.
generation resident of this
Nobody's
county,
denying.
whose family built the foundation that we're sitting on, and as slaves, we didn't get paid for it, I have the right to
Stay on
speak
the
and
item.
be heard. I am
Stay on-
staying
no,
on the
no.
item because I'm in support of what the minority leader has been saying for the last
That's not on the
year.
item.
And it is on the item because these contracts are bogus. B-O-G-U-S. Okay? But it's bought on graft and paid by us. So let's get it straight, and it's on my 3 minutes. I don't get to interrupt you when you're talking on and on and on, so I'm going to say what I need to say in my 3 minutes as it pertains to A28-16. Again, how can you authorize the Nassau County Office of Purchasing to award and execute a contract between the County of Nassau acting on behalf of the Nassau County Department of Public Works and Inter-County Paving without giving the public the right to review the processes involved because there is a tainted system in place? How can you do that? Furthermore, the fact that you put certain contracts on the agenda as you willy-nilly determine whose constituency is going to be benefited, it just seems to me that the majority of us who live in the constituencies that are governed by those on the minority side get the shaft. By those on this side, they get all of the benefit. As determined by how many more events are you going to have in Old Bethpage, okay? There are no other facilities in any other part of Nassau County. Everything has to be in Bethpage. I wonder, whose hometown is Bethpage? Let's start there. Okay. So this paving company, what are their credentials? I have questioned and asked with regard to the Minority and Women Business Program. We won't even talk about the non-existent Veteran and Service Disabled Business Program. It does not exist. But I have sincere and clear questions with regard to the process for the Minority and Women Business component. What is the certification process? What is the recertification process? Is this not public opportunity for review? Do I have to now, in addition to the increased taxes and the quote-unquote property taxes, well, I'm taking into consideration that the presiding officer infringed upon my time, so I'm going to finish what I have to say. Where is the review? Call for the vote. And if the deputy majority leader has concerns about what this gentleman over here has been asking for his constituency, and these people here had to take time off at their jobs, possibly having to pick up a spouse or a child. They don't get the free parking spaces. Some of us got to park 2 and 3 blocks away to come here to speak our voice. Put it on the agenda just the same way you have these, and let all of them who are independent-minded make up their own mind about it. So yes, I'm calling for the vote, and I support having somebody outside of this party machine to make the decisions as to where my tax dollars are going. Because I was in front of this group the day before the county executive and his wife got arrested for a total of 13 counts by the federal government. And yes, I'm on the record again in opposition. Thank you for my time that I paid for.
It says right in the back that this solicitation was advertised in Newsday and posted in the Nassau County Bid Solicitation Board, where 64 vendors were notified electronically of the bid, 4 which were women-owned businesses and 1 which was a veteran-owned business that can do this kind of work. Of that 4 bids were received. Out of 64 that were sent out, only 4 bid on this, so they could do this kind of work. That's where, and there's nothing wrong with setting out anywhere and everywhere to find people that will come to us to do this kind of work. So I don't see anything, all the, they call it whatever you want, but they did it right. You can name call it anything you want, but we did it properly. It was done properly. Thank you.
Just the only point I have to make is this is it's a blanket purchase order for cleaning and debris removal of stormwater basins. Obviously, that doesn't affect a particular district. All of our districts have stormwater basins, and this is for countywide.
I don't get the point, but I'll accept it.
Well,
You got 1 minute.
well, thank you. I appreciate my 1 minute. Is there a reason, Mr. Arnold, that we didn't award this contract to one of those companies? I know we have the score sheets, and we also passed that law with Legislator Gaylor and Curran saying that we're going to try to, whenever possible, to do that. And here it sounds like we did get 4 responses that would fit into that category. Aren't we supposed to kind of hold them, like try to offer it to them first?
No, the lowest responsible bidder.
But
It's
I
bid on.
thought that this legislation also said that if it was a veteran slash...
I don't know if any of the 4 bidders are actually veterans or not yet. There's purchasing department.
He said that there was one.
There's 1.
That's what Legislator Dunn just said. Did I just hear myself?
We're sent to 1. We don't know what, I can't tell you based on the back of what bids are received. I don't believe any for veteran businesses.
I think we have the score sheets. Do you have the score sheets?
There's no score sheets. It's based on price. DF Stone, World Work Ahead, Inter County Paving, Laser. None of these are veteran-owned businesses.
Thank you.
If I may.
How we support those reserves.
Ask a question, Mr. Arnold. I asked before, and now nobody volunteered.
Mr. Arnold, from what we can see from the backup, it appears that Intercounty Paving Associates LLC it breaks down the members that have stock percentage in each of the firm or the company. And one of the names, a couple of the names, but one of the names that brought some concern, and I wanted to ask you a question about it, is Mr. Carl J. Leza. Because it says also in the disclosure that he's affiliated with this firm, and I want to bring it up as a side of caution. Obviously, we know what's going on here in Nassau, but in the town of Oyster Bay, where the supervisor, John Bandito, presides over, I believe, if I remember, with the Ippolito situation as well, which led to an arrest, indictment, and then eventually a sentence and conviction. I believe one of the things that he was citing on was his relationship with Leza. He worked for Leza. So I want to make sure, is this the same Carl Leza that was tied into the situation with Mr. Ippolito that could have led to the arrest and indictment of Mr. John Bandito, Supervisor Bandito?
I believe that it was the other Lizard company, which is Harry Lizard's company, which is Carlos Lizard and Sons Paving. But don't quote me on that, but I believe that's the firm that Mr. Polito was working for.
So Carl Lizard is not affiliated with that other firm?
They're relatives of each other, but they're not affiliated companies.
But is Carl Lizard the one that's the managing partner on Intercounty? Is he affiliated with that firm?
We've been told they're not affiliated with each other.
They're not affiliated with each other.
All those in favor of 828 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Aye. The item passes 4-3. We're moving on to the next one, which is A37. 16, a resolution authorizing the Director of Nassau County Office of Purchasing to award and execute a contract between the County of Nassau, acting on behalf of the Nassau County District Attorney's Office and General Technologies. And motion, please. Moved by Legislator Dunn, seconded by Legislator
Bob McManus, District Attorney's Office. December 2014, the District Attorney's Office implemented the Justware case management system. The Justware provides a technological capability to manage the life cycle of a case more effectively while providing interface ability with other law enforcement agencies such as the police and probation. Justware can track cases and ensure that records are accurate and up to date. Journal Technologies is the vendor who designed and installed the proprietary software used in conjunction with Justware and is the only vendor capable of providing the maintenance support necessary to run the system and also upgrades when they're available.
Okay, any questions of Mr. McManus? Legislator Szilagyi.
Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. Good afternoon, sir. How are you doing today?
Very good.
Thank you. And this is a sole source purchase, is that correct?
That's correct.
Which means that this is the only entity that provides that and we don't have the option of going with another bidder?
No. The original system, when it was first installed, there was an RFP formally issued at that time. Four vendors submitted bids. Now that the system is up and running, however, there is only one vendor who can provide the necessary service and maintenance.
I appreciate you explaining that because there was an insinuation made before that we're only voting for these contracts with the District Attorney's Office because she's a Democrat, and that's not the reason. The reason that we're voting, that I intend to vote for this is because it's a sole source purchase. Thank you, that's all.
Thank you.
Legislator Dunn.
This isn't the purchase, this is a lease?
No, sir. This is a contract.
A contract.
Yes.
So then it'll get updated, you know, upon new technology.
That's correct.
Thank you.
There being none, all those in favor of A3716 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item passes unanimously.
Thank you.
The next item is A3816, a resolution authorizing the Director of Nassau County Office of Purchasing to award and execute a contract between the County of Nassau, acting on behalf of the Nassau County Correctional Center and Green Land Dairies. Moved by legislator Dunn, seconded by legislator Dillon. All right, who's here to speak on this item?
Madam Chair, there was nobody available today from purchasing to speak on this particular item, but it's something that was purchased in the past and it's been out when milk is needed. So,
Motion to table, please. Moved by legislator Nicolao, seconded by legislator Dunn. All those in favor of tabling 838 signify by saying aye. Aye. Aye, it's tabled unanimously. Aye. The next item is B35, a resolution authorizing the county executive to award and execute a contract between the county of Nassau, acting on behalf of the Nassau County Department of Public Works and Philip Ross Industries, Inc. Motion, please. All right, second. And moved by legislator Dunn, seconded by legislator Nicolao. And again, Mr. Arnold,
So we're not skipping
talk to us about
we're skipping
B35.
We're not doing B34
Not
today?
B35.
B35 is a construction contract for the rehabilitation of 2 pump stations in Lawrence, the Sage Avenue and Lawrence pump stations. They were both damaged by Sandy. These will make those pump stations hardened for future storms. This is being funded through the county's FEMA program.
Any questions of Mr. Arnold on this item? Any public comment?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question, presiding officer?
Let Ms. Faraday, since I did call for public comment.
Well, her question might be relevant to what I need to ask.
Say what you have to say.
Not a problem. Again, my concern has to do with the fact that this is clearly tied to funds outside of the county. We say FEMA, that means federal. And I continue to question the integrity of this contracting process. Operation Splash, Mr. Singh come to mind. So I would like to have more detail, since those of us who pay the taxes on this side of the table are not privy to the deliberations and the discussions to how this Philip Ross Industries was selected in terms of this particular contract. And again, what was the outreach? Was it inclusive? And I mean beyond just Newsday and putting it on that site that most people can't circumvent anyway. You have to do a little better. It's not just about putting it on the site. Even the federal government is stepping up the alleged best efforts. So we're not doing the due diligence in Nassau County, but we do wave those flags and we do participate in those parades and give out that free pancake breakfast. But we just can't seem to wonder why our veterans are continuing to be underserved and increasing in homelessness, foreclosure rates, business failures, unemployment, and suicide. So my questions have to do, again, Philip Ross Industries. Who are the principals? What was the outreach as it pertained to this contract? What was the bidding process as far as the minority, women, and veteran participation? Thank you.
Okay, and I believe we're okay. Okay. There being no other comments, all those in favor of B35 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the item passes 4-3. The next item is E208, a personal services agreement between the County of Nassau acting on behalf of the Nassau County District Attorney's Office and the Safe Center LI Inc. I move by legislator Dunn, second by legislator Nicolao. Mr. McManus.
Yes. Services to be provided under this agreement shall consist of conducting the Adult Victim Advocates Program. This is a new program. Adult victim advocates are an essential part of victim services. They seek to ensure that individuals impacted by interpersonal violence can heal and receive justice. Serving as a liaison to the District Attorney's Office and other law enforcement agencies, this program will facilitate communication among systemic partners and provide victims with timely and accurate information on the nature of the legal process and status of their case, as well as providing referrals to social service agencies if necessary.
Okay, any Salatas.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Again, just to be clear here, the procurement process here, did it involve Edmund Gatto here?
No, sir.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Any other questions from the legislators? Any public comment? There being none, all those in favor of E208 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item passes 7-0. The next item is E212, a personal services agreement between the County of Nassau acting on behalf of the Nassau County Traffic and Parking Violations Agency and Alliance One Receivables Management Inc. Moved by legislator Dunn, second by legislator Okay, who do we have?
Oh, sorry.
Mr. Rich?
Yes, Dave Rich, Assistant Deputy Director of Traffic and Parking Violations Agency. And Judge Marks, Executive Director of Traffic and Parking Violations Agency. This contract is an amendment. The amendment terms basically is to reimburse the vendor for certified mailings. Also to define what photo enforcement collections are, including red light camera as well as school speed zone camera violations. And also to add 3 one-year extensions. This vendor has been a contractor of ours since September of 2013, actually, with this current contract. At the time that we did the RFP, there are 18 other vendors that submitted proposals. This vendor has actually been a vendor of ours since 2008. The interface with our photo enforcement vendor, which is American Traffic Solutions, as well as interface with our boot and tow vendor, and there's no additional cost to the county for those interfaces. As far as the collections rate for a red light camera, they actually collect well above the industry rate at roughly 35% and as high as 39%. For parking, they collect 36%, and in some periods they've actually been as high as between 46 and 49%. And for school speed zone camera violations, they've collected 21%. And in general, and the bottom line is there's no cost to the county for this vendor.
Any questions of Mr. Rich? Minority Leader.
I just want to make sure I understand that this contract is in place for 5 years without legislative approval?
No, it was 3 years and 2 one-year extensions.
3 years and 2 one-year extensions?
Yes.
So when was it, I'm sorry. So when would this committee, when will this contract come back before this committee?
Now, actually. It should have been in September, but it's been delayed trying to get through all the different...
No, I mean, assuming it gets approved today.
Yes.
When will we see it again?
It would be probably next year because we're doing one-year extensions. We're not doing a total of 5 years. We're doing one-year extensions each time.
So we're in year 4 of that extension.
Yes, and we're adding another 4 years. So we're adding 3 to the original 5. So it's a total of 8 years. 1-year extensions. I'm sorry. Yes, 1-year extensions. Yes.
I'm not so sure I understand. So it's
How
coming
many
before.
extensions, Mr. Rich, can they get?
1 year today, we'll be back.
And then?
And then the following year, if we approve it, and then 1 year if we still recommend the same company, all the way up to 2018. Each year we have to come back.
Yes or no?
Question?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Rich, so this contract was initially passed in 2013, is that correct?
Correct.
And that was a 3-year contract, which is now up, is that correct?
It was a 3-year contract with 2 one-year extensions.
Okay, so the 3 years is up, and you're here today asking for a 1-year extension?
Yes.
Okay. And then you still have 1 year left to come back and ask for another extension, is that
On
correct?
the original contract, yes.
All right, what happens after that second 1-year extension next year?
If this is not as approved as submitted today, we would actually have to do another RFP.
So what are you asking today that we approve?
We're asking that we approve the amendments which include 3 one-year extensions.
So
We're asking the amendment to add 3 more years to the original contract. It was only a 5-year contract, we're asking for 3 additional years to be added to the contract. Terminating. So I don't know how it makes the terms of this.
okay, so let me ask a question again. So this was initially a 3-year contract with 2 1-year extensions, and you're asking today for 3 additional 1-year extensions?
Yes.
Okay, now I understand.
Wait, 3 additional 1-year extensions?
That's what I understand you asking.
Mr. Rich, we're here for 1-year extension. And then after this one, another year extension. And then,
3 more he's asking for. So he's asking that the 5-year contract, if I may speak on his behalf, I think I heard him say he's asking that the original 5-year contract awarded in 2013 be extended out over 8 years.
Correct. Correct.
Why wouldn't we do an RFP at some point along that line? I'm sorry to cut you off, Bill, and that officer. Why wouldn't we do an RFP?
Well, as I stated, number one is that they actually have interfaces with 2 of our other companies. For us to build new interfaces with other companies, we'll probably be behind at least 1 year. In addition, I've also cited their collection rates. Their collection rates are way above industry standard.
Can you elaborate on what you said, interfaces with other
Interfaces, one of the interfaces they have is with our photo enforcement company, which is American Traffic Solutions. So what they do is they receive a file directly from them that says, all right, these are the balances due, and the case is open for collection. And at the same time, they'll send the file back to the vendor that says, this is how much has been paid, and whatever, because they are, as an agent of ours, they are allowed to collect monies. The same thing for the second interface. They have an interface with our boot and tow company, which allows for direct up-to-date information for balances due. Otherwise, we would have maybe possibly 2 to 3 days out of sync, where we may end up booting somebody that they did not know the balance was paid 2 days prior. So that's why we asked this vendor to connect with those 2 other vendors, so we have really current information.
So if in the event we decide to end the contract of service with any one of those vendors, does it disrupt the other 2 and what they need to do?
No, not at all. They're still independent.
And the software that it goes along with, that's been provided by each of these vendors, it's owned by the county or by the vendors themselves?
The vendors themselves own their own software.
So what happens if they left, if we did do an RFP?
It would just delay us in collecting, and the longer the debt's out there, the less likely you're going to collect it. You're going to see a reduced liquidation rate if it's going to take us longer to collect on the debt.
So it kind of ties us together.
It doesn't tie our hands together. It's just a choice where we're saying at this time we're asking for 3 additional 1-year extensions. If we didn't do that, that's fine. We'll do an RFP, but just be aware it's going to take us at least 6 months to 9 months to build those interfaces and that relationship with other vendors.
But what I'm saying is, I guess that need to do that infrastructure rebuild kind of ties us to keep doing this contract over and over, because we don't want to go through the 6 to 9 months of doing that infrastructure buildup.
Well, if we find another vendor in between, we actually have 2 other vendors, which is one is the Paylock, which is the boot and tow, as well as we also have RTR. If they somehow could supplement those interfaces as well. I mean, we have choices to use other collection vendors.
Thank you.
Legislator DeRuigi.
Hi. You said before somewhere around 35% of the tickets that are collected through this, of the outstanding tickets are collected through this company?
Yes.
So that means over somewhere around 65% are not collected?
No, basically just to give you a quick outline, tip for itself, you know, for example, use the parking ticket. A parking ticket is left on somebody's windshield. If they don't respond to it, TIFA sends out 2 collection letters saying, all right, you owe this amount or you need to appear in court. After those 2 letters, which is roughly 90 days after the issue date, we then assign it to one of our collection vendors. And for the parking side, we actually send it to Alliance One, and then 30 days after that, we also send it to Boot and Tow Company as well for collection. So the collection companies, we require them to at least make either a minimum of 1 phone call or 1 collection letter before they previously used to do credit collection reporting, but they're not allowed to do that anymore.
I was wondering about that. That was one of my questions. So if you have an outstanding red light camera, does that show up on your credit report?
Not at this time. It will soon again.
So when did it stop? And when did
As of June last year, the FDCPA said that any debt that you don't sign for cannot be reported to a collection reporting agency.
And how are you going to change that?
We're going to have default judgments filed, which is a civil lien that will be filed with the county clerk.
Well, all right. So Alliance One, I know they've been the subject of a number of enforcement actions for unfair consumer practices.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is the county in any way held responsible if something like that should happen?
I believe the standard language in our contract, boilerplate, I don't believe that we have any. Yeah.
There would be boilerplate indemnification language in the contract.
So it's possible that the county could be held into a lawsuit?
No.
No. We're indemnified? Okay, all right. So, I'm sorry, just to clarify, there is language for indemnification or there's not?
There is, it's a standard boilerplate contract.
And I guess, so just to get back one more time, I'm sorry. I understand that you send out the letters and all that, and then where did the 35% come in?
Okay, just to, actually I didn't clarify that. Just so you know, what we do is, for example, parking tickets, we roughly collect 85%, or resolve, I should say, 85% of our outstanding. So we may collect, say, somewhere 60, 70%, and then what's left in that pool, then the debt collection agency is collecting 35% of that remaining pool. Parking violations, we actually collect 95%, and on the red light camera, we're up at 88, 89% of liquidation collection rate.
And that's just people just paying what they owe?
That's basically resolving the ticket, closing it out, so it's not unresolved anymore. So it's paying what they owe, or just...
So what you don't collect, therefore, goes to this company?
Correct.
Now, I heard the comptroller mention that there's a substantial amount of uncollected fines.
Yes.
That really is just consistent of, it sounds like what, about 5%, 10%?
Basically, it's less, well, on the parking side, it'd be less than 5%. And then again, we kind of went through this exercise internally of the traffic. For example, half of that actually goes to the state. So it's not even, say there's $80 million due in traffic fines. Nassau County would only be eligible for like roughly $40, $45 million out of that. But out of that, we would only really realistically see maybe 10%, 20% out of that.
So in your opinion, it's really only about $4 million that the county doesn't get to see, just from following your math?
No, it's for traffic, we said it's 80 million roughly is outstanding. Out of that, 40 or 45 million, I forgot the exact number is, and we can come back with that number, of what we do in Nassau County. And then out of that, what's actually really collectible, because it's aged, we might see maybe about $8 million, $7 million. But again, I can provide that actual information for you.
So, do you have any other ideas of how we could collect that 7 or 8 million, or you think this is pretty much all we can do?
I want to say, as going on the traffic side, what we do is, we send out the collection letters. We have a collection vendor that signs off on it. We request suspensions on every single violation that is not resolved by the due date. So their license gets suspended, but there's a decent majority of folks that are driving around with suspended licenses. They don't care. That's why we try to hit them in the pocketbook. I mean, there's some other entities out there that don't even do collections. They just rely on suspension. And to us, I don't think that's enough. I think we need to go after the pocketbook. We need to get the monies in there.
So when do you anticipate to have it back on the credit list?
I would say probably within 2 months. That's what part of this contract amendment is as well, because it allows the vendors to send out certified mailings and get reimbursed for those certified mailings.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Legislator Nicolello.
Just want to follow up real quickly on Legislator Rizzi's questions. And the controller brought this up, but some of these tickets we're talking about that are technically outstanding, they go back a while, right?
I want to say I believe the traffic tickets go back roughly more than 20 years.
So in terms of the feasibility of actually ever getting some of that money back is zero.
And I want to say every single one